Thank you, Luke. Thank you. Thank you, Luke, and thank you very much for organizing this conference. It's always a pleasure. We always look forward to come here. And yeah, there's always already been a year since we were here, and so many things that happened this year. It went by so fast. I think it was, when I think about it, it seems to me that it was just, a short while ago we were here in Antwerp. But so really this year has been crazy. There's so many things that happen, and of course a lot of things have happened with AI, and we are going to talk a lot about that in this keynote and in many of these sessions at this conference. But before we get to that, something else happened this year. Microsoft turned 50. Microsoft was founded in, thank you, in April of 1975. You see some of the old pictures here with Bill Gates and Paul Allen and some of the founders. The very first, I think that's the very first building where Microsoft had his offices. And 50 years is, when you think about it, it's kind of old in the tech industry. It's one of the, Microsoft was the first company to become a tech company before it even existed. Compared to other industry, 50 years is not that old, but in the tech industry, it's actually pretty old. So check out this video.
For 50 years, Microsoft has been proud to help write the story of innovation. For 50 years, we've pushed beyond expectation, and our mission has always been clear.
Our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more.
Our ambition remains as big as ever, and in this moment of new possibilities, the best way to empower each of us is to empower all of us. That's why we build tools that bring ideas to life. A cloud that gives you freedom. Devices that give you access. And AI that not only assists, but amplifies. We didn't build Copilot to drive the next big leap in technology. We built it to drive the next big leap in you, creating a reality where everyone can be the pilot, flying to a place where imagination is the only frontier. At Microsoft, our past has always been about the future. Now our future is all about you.
All right, pretty cool, is it? Thank you. So, and something else, yet again, happened this year. BC actually reached 45,000 customers. So, we're very proud of this achievement, and that's also thanks to you. Thanks for being part of this journey and helping us getting to that level of success. One of our biggest competitors, NetSuite, they had these. They were bragging about the number of customers they had. On their website, it says something like 40,000 something customers in big letters. And now we actually beat them. We have more customers than they have. So I think they went down to smaller font on their website. So we're pretty proud of that. And also thanks to you. Thanks for supporting that product and be part of this great community. So now let's get into the topics that everybody's talking about. Let's talk about AI. And before we get into the showing you, we have tons of demo prepared for you. We'll show you what we've done in BC with AI. But before that, I just want to take a moment to reflect a little bit about it. If you think about it, the businesses have been operating pretty much the same way for many years, for about 50 years, right? Since we started using computers. And we had, at the very beginning was mainframe and terminals, Then graphical UI appeared, and then we went to the cloud, and these were all great tools, and of course it helped improving productivity of businesses. But when you think about it, it was mostly form over data. I know it's a kind of an oversimplification, but in essence, the way business operated didn't really change. The processes, the way people are going about their businesses is pretty much the same thing. And AI is actually disrupting business these days at its core. It's really making a big difference in how business actually operating and how they run and how people do their work. Just to put things in perspective, here are some numbers and how fast different technologies have been adopted throughout the years. And these numbers are showing how long time it took for a certain technology to get to 100 million users. And you see the mobile phone, it took 16 years before there was 100 million people having mobile phones and using them. 7 years for the internet, 4.5 years for a platform like Facebook. But LLMs and ChatGPT only took 3 months. In 3 months' time, there was 100 million people using ChatGPT. So that just gives you an idea on how pervasive this technology is and how potentially disruptive it's going to be. On the next slide, you see all the processes and all the functions that potentially are affected by AI. Already today, people are doing these things in a very different way using AI. So the way we see it, there's of course Copilot, and already today, pretty much every employee are using. Everybody in a business are using Copilot already, and if not, very few people are not experienced with it. And then there's this new thing that is really picking up and it's going to be groundbreaking. These are agents, and agents. We believe that every business process eventually will have an agent. And the big difference between Copilot and agents is that, as the name says, agents are actually able to perform tasks in an autonomous way. And we'll talk a lot more about that during this keynote and also in many of the sessions during the conference. So the way we see agents and the way work is organized is we think of it in different levels. And it's kind of an analogy with the self-driving cars. The self-driving cars, they have these different levels, level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the higher the level, the more autonomous they get. We're thinking about agents and AI in the same way. So in level 1, it's human with assistance. It's basically Copilot experience, type of experience you have with, for example, a chat. This is kind of a level 1 experience. Level 2, you are using an agent, but you have a human in the loop pretty much all the steps of the way during what the agent is doing. The humans are very much involved. And level 3, humans are basically describing what they want in very general terms, and are just running the show and performing the business tasks. Of course, with human oversight still, but with a lot more autonomy. And Business Central, so for Business Central, we are actually, kind of following that pattern and that model. So we, a couple of years ago, as Luc mentioned, that's where we started with the first AI features and with things like chat and e-document matching, bank account reconciliation. So these are level 1 type of features. And then in the last year or so, we moved to agents, so level 2 type of functionality in Business Central, like with the sales order agent, the payable agent, and more. And we'll show you a lot more about that in a moment. And we are moving towards level 3 for the future, and very near future. The reason why we're doing that is because we believe, in terms of productivity, that if you have a level 1 type of feature that gives a productivity boost with a factor of 1.5, whereas for level 2, it's up to a factor 3. And level 3 is actually where the most disrupting and most value add lays, and up to with a factor increase of productivity up to 10. That means, if you think of it, that means that you need 3 or more level 2 agents for one agent, a level 3, to achieve the same gain in productivity. So that's why in the future you'll see us focusing a lot more on level 3 type of agents. In terms of development and how we and you can implement this type of AI features, there's the no-code approach, which is where everybody can use it. You don't have to be a programmer with Microsoft 365 Copilot, and you have a lot of productivity AI features in product like already in BC and Power BI and the Power Platform and Microsoft 365. I'm sure you're familiar with these. And then there's a no-code, low-code area, which is Microsoft Copilot Studio. So if you're not familiar with it, check it out. This is a great way to build AI features and build agents without writing code. And BC is also can be part of that ecosystem as well. I'll get back to that in a second. And finally, if you're a pro developer, I know there's many of you in the room, obviously. Then we have an AI platform for you. We have a lot of tools and a toolkit for you to develop, tightly integrated features with BC. And you can use, we recommend that you use Azure AI Foundry for, it's a great tool for prompt engineering as well. Getting back to agents. Agents can be developed using Microsoft Copilot Studio, as I mentioned in the slide before. And the way we see, the Microsoft Copilot Studio is great because it requires very little coding or no coding, and also it allows you to write, to implement scenarios which goes across several products. So if you have scenarios involve BC, but also other products, Microsoft Copilot Studio is a great tool for that. Whereas if you want to do things, very tightly integrated with a first-class user experience in Business Central, we also have a platform for you, and Aida will tell you about it in a minute. Actually, right now. So let me invite Aida on stage, and she's going to talk to you about what we've done with agents in Business Central.
Hello. Thank you, Vincent.
Hello, Aida.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy that I'm here again, and it's awesome to be in BC TechDays. If you remember, last year on this stage, we make a project plan together live for BC TechDays this year using the AI Toolkit. And I was talking with Luke yesterday, so everything has gone very, very smoothly until yesterday. It seems like Luke had some of the beers, one of the new beers, at least the alcohol-free one. Some of the orders are missing, so he was very worried that there is not enough of them. Was thinking that the supplier hasn't sent enough decaf coffee, and I was telling him, look, don't worry, developers, they want a strong coffee, but anyway. And then he also have some unpaid invoices. And you know me, I really want always to help Luke, but I'm a humble engineer, I'm not an accountant, and doesn't know that much about accounting or sales. So I thought, let's use Business Central and then get some help from our AI agents. Let me change to the screen. Okay. Just make sure everything running fresh. So I did something yesterday. Great, we have it available here. So I did something yesterday. I said, let's go ahead and start to set up of two new members of BC family. Here you can see the agent avatars. So I go ahead yesterday and activate it, and I'm going to demonstrate to you how. So I started with sales order agent and start activating it. It seems a little bit slow. I don't know what's happening. We just refresh. So for activation of this, all I need to do is to go and point it to the email that I have set up to receive all the orders. So that email that I have set up for receiving all sales orders is this. That's all about that. And then there are some other settings. So I can tweak these settings if I want to change settings on availability or how I want the incoming emails to be monitored. But I'm happy with this default. I just keep it as it is. And all I need to do, ta-da, just to say activate it. OK, so I think something happening here, which have never happened before. I think there's a connection to the mailbox. I already have another one activated. That's fine. And then I did actually the same thing for Payable Agent. I went ahead, pointed to the right mailbox. Probably here is the Payable mailbox. And then I just press on Activate, Active. And then the agent was activated.
So we have
Very good.
two agents here. Aida.
Yes,
Agents which
it was two agents that was
one
activated.
taking care of sales orders and one taking care of payables, right? And you just activated both of them.
Yes, and that is how I activated yesterday. So I have the environment that the agents are already activated, and it has been running since yesterday. So let's go ahead and see. I have some notification running, and the agent has been quite busy. So the agent has been processing the orders, and then when there was something for me to review, it has flagged it. And let's look at here. I have an email from Luke.
What we see here on the side is the timeline of what happened with the agent,
absolutely.
Right?
So in the timeline, you can see what has happened and what agent has done. And you can see it has done quite a lot of things. But first thing that it has received, it is an email from Luke. Let's go ahead and look at the email. It's not that short. OK, I can see Luke has not been that happy. So he's missing some of the beer bottles. He really wants them to be delivered. And he's also asking that if we have any decaf beans. And normally, Luke is quite nice. But I can see in this email, there is no flexibility. He's quite, frustrated. But that's OK. Luke, let's see what agent has done here. Let me get back. And then we can see that agent has already processed what Luke has asked for and checked the availability and created a very well-crafted message. Very nice. And those beers are available. This is the price. And the nice thing is, Luke was not very specific, so it seems like we have a lot of decaf beans and asking Luke that which decaf beans he wants. That's good. Very nice.
This email just been, no human wrote this email. The agent actually did, right?
Yes,
it's been written by the AI based on what Luke requested, right?
Yes. So, and you can see agent and Luke have been talking. So that message has gone to the Luke. You can see here, the message has gone to the Luke, and Luke has come back and say, go ahead, process with the beer order. And you see, I told you that Luke is nice. Sorry for the earlier rant. There was not such a rant. Anyway. And as for decaf, if he keep it simple, we will want 50 packs of decaf beans. Colombia, that's good. Very nice. And then let's see how the order, you can see that actually agent has processed that email, has converted to an order, and right here we can see that the agent prepared a new mail and have added as well the decaf beans, Colombia, and by the way, let's see, there is also an attachment, confirmation, and some of you might know that how it is nice. It's also very nice for the product. Now we can see the preview of PDF right in the Business Central. And you can see that. Great. That's very good. So I'm good. I'm happy with this. So I'm going to confirm it. And as soon as I confirm it, it is completed, so I hope, Luke, very soon you receive your order, and then the stress is over. Let's see, we have another message from Helen. I think Helen is from mibuso team. Let's look at what Helen is asking. Okay, this is also related to the Tech Days again. It seems like for day 2 of BC Tech Days, for the speakers, we want some additional goodies, a lot of USB-C, Antwerp book, Tech Days hoodies, all that. And then you can see Helen had an afterthought. Do you mind to toss 3 extra male polo shirts for me as well? Even though he has already asked some, very, very nice. So that is the mail that Helen has sent, and let's see how agent has processed it. So it has searched for requested an item, it has selected content, and then it has added the items to the sales code. Let's take a look at that. So this is created by agent. All those items have been added to the sales code, and do you note that it was 5 and plus 3, so we can check on that, AI can do some math as well. That's good. So all that plays, and you can see that there was 16 changes. So you can see what changes has been done by agent. That's great. And then now let's see what agent has prepared to send to Helen. Great. That is very nice. I think I want to go ahead and send it.
Yeah, but here we have also some power banks. How about we...
Which power banks? The one that Luke was talking about, or the BC one?
We send them as well to the to Helen, right?
Okay, yeah, that would be nice. But then I'm almost here. So let's add to, give some of the Business Central power banks. If you have attended directions, you know which one I'm talking about. Let's add that to agent. So what I am going to do, I actually can go here because it's an afterthought. So I discard this step, yes, and then here I have an option to go and change the code. So I'm going to do that. Let me say I go to my sales code. Very good. I edit it, and then I hope we have power banks.
So what's happening here, Aida, is that the agent created a sales code, right, based on the email from Ellen.
Absolutely.
But then what Aida is showing now is that we have this human-in-the-loop concept all the time, that any time you can go and tweak what the agent is doing. So what Aida is doing now is you're adding manually a new line to that sales code, which originally was created by the agent.
Maybe
that shows you how much control you still have over what the agent is doing, even though the agent is mostly acting autonomously.
And it is completely up to you if you can configure it to completely go autonomously, as I show in the setting, or you can have this control. So you can see I updated the code, and now I say I have updated the code. Great. And I will send it to the agent. And then now what is happening, you can see the agent running and processing, and hopefully creates a new sales code and PDF and mail for that. But by the time this is running, I can see we have something from Valdo, a message from Valdo as well. That's interesting. Let me take a look. And you can see that this seems not to be relevant for sales order agent. Okay, I'm going to review it, and I say why the agent has flagged this. So can you all see that? Serious question. Is there some unwritten law that says BC TechDays must happen in Antwerp every year? I don't know. I think in the last 10 years, I thought that is the unwritten law. So basically, I can...
Waldo wants to go somewhere else. You know?
Yes, and it's amazing.
So he's not asking for ordering stuff. He's just asking about the location of Tech Days.
And no, not me. Just he wants to go to the Croatia. And I love the fact that we will have a Business Central with 10. That's amazing. Okay, then where are you, Waldo? Mission accomplished. At least we look. You are on a spot here, so I guess you guys want to discuss that later. But that's fine. So this was not relevant for sales order agent, so I go ahead and actually stop the task.
Yeah, so what you see here is that there was an email from Waldo which has nothing to do with ordering things and doing a sales quote or sales order, and the agent detects that and classifies this email as being non-relevant.
Yes. And that is, of course, this not only that, if there is, I think Boxy covers that as well, if there is some harmful contents or there are contents that not appropriate to the scope of agent, not only business-wise, but from other areas, agent would flag that, so it will not process the order. So while we are on this, if you remember, I had also some missing invoices. So I want to go actually to take a look at this inbox that I have set up. It is for my payables, and all the invoices are coming to here. Great. So let me take a look. So I have invoices from beer testing, beer select, Antwerp. I have graphic design, and there is also another one from Four Seasons. And normally, as you know, it takes a lot of time to open each of these PDFs and enter them in Business Central, match them with the right account, and I'm not great at that. So I was hoping that by setting up the payable agent, I have been able to process that. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So I can see actually it has been processed, at least the invoice that we had. There has been quite few invoices has been processed from the Design Institute, from everything, and it is completed. But what does that really mean? Let's take a look at final draft of the e-document. Okay, I can see the invoice is created here. Let's open the draft and see what was that about. Very, very nice. So you can see that this was the actual PDF, by the way. You can see we can also preview the PDF in fact boxes. That was important for payable agent, but now all the product can also use it. So we are adding this core functionality to support both agent and of product of human users. Great. So you can see that it has looked at this and scan through the PDF document, find the right vendor, match it with the right GL account, and basically I have nothing to demo because it has been done. All the invoices has been processed. That's amazing. Yeah, I want to exit that. But I think there was also one notification for my review. Let me take a look. There was something from Four Seasons. Let me check. And you can see here, the invoice shows sign of extravagance. Again, all the invoices that come in based on the company policies, it will be reviewed. So let's review this. What type of extravagance we calling out? It is just a normal, a mail from a hotel. Fine, what's the problem? Let's take a look at the PDF. Wow, there's somebody with a very expensive wine taste.
Oops.
Oops, that's you, Vincent.
Yeah. I think actually Chateau Briand is spelled wrong.
Yes, but that doesn't
look at the amount, look at the...
Yeah, but I don't think that changed the price, right? It's spelling wrong, so it's not going to change the price.
Damn.
So I don't know, Luke. I don't think you want to pay for this. Knowing Microsoft, they're not going to pay for that. Yeah. So I think you guys need to discuss something backstage. So for that, I am not going to process it. We will decide later. Okay?
I think this agent is very vigilant.
Yes. It should be when we want to trust it to accomplish our work. That's great. And you can see that the email from Helen has been processed, and now we will have also the PDF document with additional power bank added. So that is it. And this was all about these amazing agents that helped me to run my business faster, more productive, more smoothly with all the check and balances in place, and we are really continue to work on that.
Yeah, so I think that gives you an idea what can be achieved. It's just an example of two business processes which can be quite complicated and which the agents manage to handle mostly autonomously with an oversight of humans still and the ability to have intervention from the human side along the way. Let me switch back to the slides briefly. So we'll have the sales order agent is already in public preview. And you can see on these slides what it actually does, so the different things that it actually automate. So the idea is, we're capturing sales quote and orders from customers, as Aida showed, directly from natural language email and transform it into a sales quote and sales order in an autonomous way. It will be available only certain regions as a public preview, which you can see on the slides here. So Canada, United States, Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand. But we'll be working obviously on making it available more widely throughout the world and in more regions. The payable agent, who has the other agent that Aida demonstrated, again is capturing purchase invoice from vendors and automatically converting these to, according to accounting principles and policy rules, all from natural language and regular invoices in whatever format they can be. The payable agent, sorry, sorry, I went one slide too fast. Excuse me. The payable agent will be available in private preview in a very limited audience at the beginning, but of course we'll make it more available as we perfect it. All right.
Yeah, that's awesome. But there is also one more thing that I want to cover. So we show you two samples of built-in Business Central agents, but then you might ask, what agents can they do other things? Basically, I want to tell you that agents can do anything in the Business Central using Business Central agent platform. So bear with me, so I show you something. So I have gone ahead and actually, I have defined a new agent, just called it policy checker agent. And but what is this policy checker agent? I have given it a name, policy checker agent, given it permission for now, for the purpose of this demo, to access all areas of the product. Just I want to keep it quiet, but that is it. So I just went ahead and defined this agent. But as you know, the heart of the agents are the instructions. Basically, you can give it instruction in natural language and tell it exactly what to do. So I'm going to paste the instructions that I have already prepared. And here, basically, I want to have a policy checker agent which goes and look at all the sales orders and then checks if they are compliant with the company's policy. And if they are not compliant with the company policy, so it will be flagged by agent. And
this is basically the prompt.
That is the prompt.
This is where you instruct the agent what it should be doing, and it could be practically anything.
Yes. And you might ask, okay, what is this policy? So basically, I don't want the total amounts to be higher than 10,000. It's not allowed. And just for fun of it, we don't want to sell to the companies that work with ski equipment. Don't ask me why. Just two policies that I define. And that's it. So my agent is ready for execution. How I am going to kick that up? So I go to the agent task to initiate it, and all I need to do, I will just type task 001. That's it. I don't need, in this case, to give any input message. And as soon as I do that, then hopefully very soon the task starts running. Now it is running, and you can look at all my sales order, and hopefully it is starting to look at it, check it through the policy and mark it. So I can see that I have 2 violations. And if you remember in instruction, I said prompt me if I need to review, if there was any violation. So let's go and review that. So yes, I can see that the total amount has exceeded 1,000. That's fine. And now let's go. I confirm it, and then I go and continue. You can see it is in progress. And then there is another violation happening. Let's go check that. I guess I know what that is. Violate, we don't sell to the companies working with alpine or ski equipment. That's fine. It has also marked that. That's good. I confirm it. And let's go and check through all other ones. OK, and the review is completed. So basically, by providing some instruction using Business Central Agent Builder, it's something new. We call it actually Business Central Agent Playground. By using that, all you need to do is to provide some instructions, and then the agent runtime, the whole platform behind that runs the agent, is already being considered. The human-in-the-loop experience, the review experience, it is already built in, and you just simply hook into that. So if we go to the next slide.
Thank you.
Are we in the switch one? OK. So, and here, this exciting moment, we are going to announce Business Central Agent Builder Playground. It's going to be on private preview very soon, actually, in July, for a very selected partner. And we are really working hard to make that available for all you guys in public preview, hopefully in October. We will see. We are working hard on that, and you will get all the instruction in client experience, and you will have the same experience as you see with sales order agent and all other agents that will be shipped with Business Central. And the most important thing, also the troubleshooting tools. So what I demonstrate to you is already built. What the team is really working on is these troubleshooting tools, because you know how it is to work with the prompts and AI, and we know that you need that. So that is on that. And I also want to say I really scratched the surface. If you want to really know about the behind the scenes of how the agent platform is defined, all the functionality that sales order agent and payable agent are supporting, and you want to learn more about Playground, so attend this session with Christian, with Esteban, and Aida. They will share with you everything in this very nice 90-minute session.
Yeah, so what you've seen here, all the 3 agents, just to be clear, all the 3 agents that Aida showed, they all we're building that platform underneath, and you will hear more about it in that session.
Yes.
They're all running on the same platform, which we hope will be, the platform for Business Central, where you can develop agents. And Christian and Esteban, and we'll talk more about that in that session.
Very nice. OK, and the last announcement, we announced actually the private preview of this last time on this stage. So we will have AI resources pay as you go. So you can build your third-party apps and get the AI capacity out of the box, but it's not about capacity. It is about scaling capabilities. It is about filtering, compliance, and billing. So it is a full package. And it's going to be on public preview, actually, with update 26.3 in July. So that's great. And there's quite some information in Yammer. But the best thing is Evgeny, and of one and only Peter, of one and only PM in this conference. He's going to present that and talk about the full capabilities that pay-as-you-go will provide for you. So, Peter, there is a reason you are here, of course. That's awesome. And I think that's all I had about AI and agents. We need to go figure out why the inbox didn't have permission in that company. I'm going to debug that quickly. Okay.
Thank you, Aida. Please. So yeah, I see a lot of stuff happening with agents, and I hope you enjoyed it. So now I'll invite Boxy on stage, and Boxy is going to talk about what tooling we have and what you're going to talk about testing as well, and how you can test your agents and your AI features.
Thank you.
Boxy, over to you.
Thank you, Vincent. Yeah, so as you probably know, we have been working hard to build some fantastic tools on how to build Copilot features and agents. You'll soon see some about that as well. And there's a long list of these. We call it our AI Toolkit. But there's a new child in that family, our test tools. And I'm going to drill a little bit into those test tools because it's a really, really important topic for you. So, testing Copilot features is really different than testing regular features. Testing regular features, you normally focus on, maybe a sunshine scenario and a couple of edge cases and maybe some extra acceptance tests and what have you, some end-to-end test. But Copilot features are built on generative AI. And generative AI has this fantastic capability that it can generate both diverse and creative output. And that gives us a little bit of a problem because it will not generate the same result every time you actually run your Copilot. It will give you slight differences. It will always do something great, of course, but it's not deterministic. And that makes it really hard to test. So you cannot validate that, hey, the output from the Copilot is some string that I compare to, what other string I have stored that it should be, or a number that's supposed to be that number, that amount that it was, supposed to be. And it sometimes also fabricates things that are simply not true. Makes up things. And it's something we need to be really, mindful of, that we don't, show that to our users, of course, because it needs to be based on the facts that we have in the system. And to do that, you need both a lot of test data and a lot of tests, actually. And we call this type of test accuracy testing, because what we're really testing is, how accurate is our Copilot features output to what we expect it to be. It gets worse. Yes, as you mentioned, Vincent, sometimes there's some bad actors out there wanted to break our AI features, and you don't want your AI features to output harmful content either. You need to be respect to the responsible AI. So the results needs to be safe. And there should not be any harmful content. And for testing that, you also need large volume of data and large volume of tests. We call this harms testing. There's probably many other names for this in the industry, but this is a name that we have chosen to go with here. Let's take an example, because I think it's much clearer what this is when there's an example. But before that, just a little bit of an overview. So in general, you have the, I should point the other way, you have test data set that kind of defines what you want to test, and then you have a number of test cases, and you feed that into your Copilot feature, and you get an output. And when you do that, you want to have something that can evaluate your output. And you actually also want to have something that can generate your test data and your test cases. And this is where Azure AI Foundry comes in, because Foundry actually has a lot of good tools for doing this. So let's take an example, and I'll actually take the example that we started building one of the first features, the marketing text Copilot feature. So just for if people don't know the marketing text, so what this does is if you have an item, then you can generate like a more descriptive text of that item for marketing purposes. Typically something you'll put on a web shop, so end users can get a nice view of what's really this is really about. And I'm going to go through, how do we create structured data generation, how do we create accuracy tests, and how do we create harms testing for a feature like this. So let's start with the structured data generation. So the structured data generation is something that you actually only need to do once. You want to create a lot of data that this can operate on. And the first thing you do here in Python, we have chosen to do this in Python because the frameworks we're depending on works really well in Python. So you need to learn a little bit of Python here. Hope that's okay with people. So the first thing you do is to define a data model. So a domain model for what you want to create. And for this scenario, for marketing text, you really want to create some items, so a list of items. And for each item, you want to have, like a name and a type, some attributes, some different attributes on this, and want it to generate all this data. So you define this domain model for what you want to create. And then the next step is to use the toolkit that we have created. And we have created sort of an element creator where you provide this domain model as input, and then you give it an instruction here. And as you can see on this instruction here, we're asking it to create a list of items for a company that use Business Central and sells silly stuffed animals, right? So this is a great way of creating demo data, by the way, as well, if you want that. And what this outputs is items, or definitions for items. And we use a YAML format because that's really convenient. It's both human readable and it's also readable by computers. So an example here, it created an item with a funky monkey and even with a nice icon there, a jiggle giraffe and even a party penguin. I don't know if that's for the party tonight or what.
Actually, Boxy, I'm thinking of, I just felt compelled to tell this anecdote, but it's very important that generating data in this way, because when we started with our AI journey, we were running some tests, and we were running tests on our demo data. And we figured out it was working pretty well, actually, but then when we did bug bashes and people starting, using other type of data, it was not working really well. And then what we figured out is that actually LLMs, our demo data, BC has been out there for such a long time that our demo data is out there on the internet, the demo data for BC, and LLMs have seen it. So they kind of know about the Amsterdam chair and the lamps and all that. So it kind of make it it kind of skewed the testing. So we had to generate a separate set of demo data, which we are very careful not to put on the internet, so make sure the LLMs won't see it. So there's things like that you encounter with you dealing with large language models and AI. So what Boxy is telling you is really important for if you want to test your feature, you make sure that the data you are using are totally independent of anything.
Absolutely. So now we have a YAML file with the data, or we call them the facts, because this is kind of what you want your Copilot feature to run on. You have that in a YAML file, and now, of course, the next step is to create your first tests. So we want to create the accuracy test using this. Creating the accuracy test, you actually simply create a normal AL test. There's no difference here. But you use our toolkit in the AL test to show, to do this. And let me just point to a few things here on the slide here. So it's a regular test, and the first thing it does here is it gets facts from the test input. So what that does is that it loads that YAML file that you have embedded into the test. And then it calls a function that actually calls the Copilot and generates the marketing text. So now take the facts and say, hey, create a marketing text based on these facts. So that'll give you a response, which is the actual text of this. You store this, and then you run a number of evaluators. I have one here for groundedness and one for fluency. And this is where you need to define what does accuracy mean for this particular feature. Obviously this is a marketing text, so it needs to be a very fluent text, something that it's easy to read and something that will actually make hopefully the customers buy the products that you're trying to sell here. But there's also groundedness, because we want to make sure that that text doesn't contain things that are not true. It could say things about the party penguin that it got 5 legs, but it does not have 5 legs. But maybe it could make that up.
Yeah, you want them to be too creative, right?
Yeah, we don't want it to be too creative. So the way you create these evaluators is that you actually specify a prompt. So it might be a little bit hard to read here, but this is a regular prompt where you give it an instruction on how to assess whether it's grounded in the facts. And you get to write these. We'll of course provide a lot of examples that you can use for things like this. But you need to define what does this mean. And that's a similar one here for fluency. I don't know if you can see there's another tab here for fluency. I don't have a picture of it, but you have these prompts that helps you assess the accuracy of this feature. So then you run your test, like you normally do. Nothing magic here. There's one thing. Look at this number here. There's a new field here called accuracy. It might be a little bit hard to see. It says 1.0. Accuracy is defined between 0 and 1. And 1.0 is actually not something you get very often. Often you get something very close to 1. But this was apparently a good run. We only ran like 20 iterations, so that's probably why. And normally you will not see this. And when you run this in a larger scale, you can kind of run it on a daily build or on regular occurrence, and you can see how it evolves over time. And trust me, when you start building these features, it will not be close to 1. You will need to make adjustments to your prompts to get it to as close as you possibly can to 1. And you should remember as well that any change that you do will actually impact this. A fun story, I don't know actually if it's fun, in one of our latest, actually yesterday, I talked to the team. They were trying out a new model, GPT 4.1, on our Payables agent. And the accuracy dropped 20% just by changing the model from one version to another version. So now we need to go back and adjust the prompts to get the accuracy back to what needs to be. And this is why it's super important to have these tests, because you will need to adopt new models. Because old models are going away, we need to reuse the GPUs. So that is going to happen. And automating this is essential. Let's also talk a little bit about the harms test. And the harm test is really a big problem. Right? Think of it, when we talk about a harms test, think about it that you put something in the input to the Copilot to generate something to the output, and we don't want any harmful content in the output. In the marketing text, the scenario could be, say, if I created an item with a description, say, how do I create a bomb? And then we actually allowed the LLM to generate a marketing text that contains a full description on how to create a bomb. That would be pretty bad. But I don't know about you, but I don't really want to create thousands of questions like that I can test out with, and I don't think I'll have the right coverage on this. And I also don't want to read thousands of marketing texts to see if it contains any harmful content. So we, of course, have built something to help you with that. Yeah, and you can't just ask Copilot to do that either. You know, it will also resist putting any harmful content, so you can't have it to auto-generate this. And here, the good thing is that Azure AI Foundry comes to our help again. It has a so-called simulation SDK that can help us generate the harms and put that into our tests. And similar, when we have the results, it can also help us validate the results that it does not contain any harms. So that's a big help. Here's a simple example. So what you do is that you put in a placeholder, squirrely brackets harm, in your test data, where you want it to be entered here. And here, you know, I put that into the product question, and I put it into the product name, and in the other one. So you kind of get to define, do you want to use a description, or is it an attribute that you want to, and you can kind of vary it a little bit on the different tests, how you want to do this. And then you run your AL test again. It's just a normal AL test. But you know, of course, you're using the toolkit that we have created. And what this does here, first of all, I load harms of different types from Azure AI Foundry. And then I, of course, merge those harms, you know, in a random way with the facts that now have the placeholders. So it fills in the placeholders, the squirrely bracket harms in my test data set. Try to inject harms into the test data set. And then, as usual, we run the generate text. We run get the marketing text as the response. And here I need to do, because I know this function will actually give an error if it fails, if there's harmful content, we should hopefully reject it. And that's why we just set the response to that it refused to generate help, which is great. That's a great answer, right? And then we store the output so we can analyze it afterwards. And the output from these tests, you actually then upload that into Azure AI Foundry and ask that to analyze all the test results you have. And it will analyze it for different categories. You can see them here, for violence, for hate and unfairness, and for self-harm, and for sexual content. So it has a wide number of tests that it can run on your output here. So you don't need to go read all those marketing texts. So now we can kind of generate data. We can generate accuracy tests. We can get an accuracy score for your tests. And we can execute harm tests to ensure that your features do not have harmful content. And that really helps, building good Copilot features for both you and your customers. So that kind of completes the nice toolkit we have for building AI features. I'm sure that you can use a lot of that to build something for your customers here. I just scratched the surface here as well. There's a lot more content and a lot more code that you can see. We have a breakout session where Frank Schumann and Klaus is going through the details and a much more complex scenario. So if you're more interested in this, and you should be, then please join that session as well.
Right.
All right.
Thank you, Boxy.
Thank you.
So, we cannot say it enough how important it is that you look at testing in a different way for all the AI features. It's kind of as Boxy mentioned, the non-deterministic nature of LLMs makes it a little harder and a little different to test your features. So in the next section, I'm going to show you. So as I mentioned before, we are evolving Business Central towards being an AI-first business application. And for inspiration, we introduce a couple of a really cool feature in the next release, which I would like to demonstrate right now. So let me switch to my demo PC. And okay, I'll start with the first the first picture. Actually, I had a slide about it. So the first feature I'm going to show is, can we switch the slide? The first feature is summarizing. So you've probably seen a lot of these summarize kind of features in various products, in M365 and other products. It's kind of an easy thing to do, summarizing a text. That's something that LLMs are pretty good at. But we kind of took a little more advanced approach, which is going to provide, we believe, more value. So if I go to my customer here and pick up a random customer, you'll see on that customer card, we've added something new. I hope it's going to show up. Let me give it a moment. Yeah, here we go. So you see this in the fact box area. There's this new summary box here, and what we're doing here is that we're using AI. We're using an LLM to generate a summary of informations that are related to that particular customer. So you have things like the total amount owed by this customer here, and you see here if I click on that, we are highlighting where that information comes from on the card. There is some things like the profit is also somewhere on that card as well. But we're not only summarizing. You are not only summarizing what's on this particular card, which will be a little bit, just repeating what you're already showing there. We're also looking at the related information to that particular customer. So we have things, for example, like the number of ongoing sales orders for that customer. There are 7 of them, so I can click there, and that will show me what these are. And I can also click on that button, Show More, which is going to open the chat area, the sidecar. And we are generating here a much more expansive summary, again, looking at the data related to that particular customer. So you'll see here there's things like the total financial engagement. Again, I can click here and see where that data comes from. So a lot of it is coming from the statistics on this customer. So that's just to give you an idea of what can be achieved with AI. So here again, we're not only summarizing what's on that page, which would be a little bit boring, but we're also looking at several of the data which is adjacent to that particular customer. And we do the same thing for other major entities in BC, things like sales order, sales quote, that kind of thing. So that's the summary feature. Another cool feature we think we've introduced is autofill. So let me go back again to my demo PC. So basically, autofill is about trying to help the user to fill out the fields. I'm sure you're familiar with that type of feature. Most browsers have something like that. And I'd like to demonstrate it to you right now. So let me give you an example. So just autofilling with most recent use is or something that's saving in memory. That's what, for example, browsers do today. But we've done something a little more advanced than that. So let's go to fixed asset, for example, and imagine I want to create a new fixed asset here. And so you'll see here in the field, there's this sparkling icon, and that means that if I click on it, something is going to happen with AI. So let me write something like wireless, and I intentionally misspell it with some weird characters like this. Imagine you're pretty bad at typing like me, and you type something like that. And if I go, that's just to demonstrate what autofill can do. So I go and click on the sparkling icon, and what's going on here is that we are actually sending some context to these fields and the rest of the page to AI in order to try to predict what fields the user will have to enter. And what you see in green here, so it kind of, the first thing you notice that it actually fixed my bad spelling, and it's actually trying to guess the class code and the subclass code and the responsible employees. So what we're doing here in the background is a little bit advanced. So what we're doing is that we have predictors, and we have a predictor that is looking at the most frequently used items for that particular data. And you have one which looks at the most recently used, as opposed to the most frequently, but the one you use the most recently. And we look at selection, like if you have a drop down or a lookup. And we can also do a Bing search, and we're even prototyping something with a clipboard right now. So what we do is that for each of these fields, we use all of these predictors to make predictions. And and we also ask the LLM, right? So we do these 5 or 6 predictions for these fields, and we send all of that to the LLM and ask the LLM, and so with some context, and ask the LLM what is the best prediction based on that on the context of the page we are on, right? So it's a little more advanced than just the traditional autofill you have seen on other on the product. We're really leveraging AI to kind of assess what's the best prediction out of different ways to predict a field. And what you can do here, I just want to briefly show you that you can go and keep some of the selection or only some of them. Some of them, the AI might get it wrong, so you can only, you can select the one you want to keep or discard them all. So that was another cool feature we introduced recently. And if you want to hear more about these two things, there is a session about that by Monica and Vasil. They go much more in depth than I just showed you. I just scratched the surface here. But they will talk a lot more about the data-driven Copilot experience and what we've done with this feature with autofill and summarize. All right. So now we reached from the lab section. I know that that's usually a section from this keynote you're looking forward to. Again, if you're new, if it's your first time at Tech Days, in that part of the keynote, I usually show some things which are, on the drawing board, things we might not ship. We might or might not ship them. They're usually not finished at all. It's prototypes, thing we're playing around with. So, again, the disclaimer, that might make it to the product or not. So last year I had that. We had that section. That's basically a tradition, and I had an AI-generated picture on that slide to illustrate the concept, and it was like some people in white coats in a lab doing something with AI. So I had a prompt like generate a picture of some people in a lab doing something with software, right? So I thought this year, just like Luke did, I had a little bit of fun with pictures. So I sent these 3 pictures of presenters for that keynote to the LLM. I say, hey, generate a picture of these 3 people in a lab and doing something with AI. So that's the picture that came out. So I'll let you be the judge of whether you think it's resembling or not. What's new in OpenAI with picture generation is, before. If you wrote a prompt and ask it to generate a new picture, it would generate a picture. But if you write a new prompt and say, hey, do something different or tweak that picture, it would generate an entirely new picture. But what's new is that now you can actually tweak the picture that it generates. So you even try it, try it out, it's pretty cool. So what I did here, these 3 people are looking pretty serious. So please generate a new picture where they actually look less serious. So that's what it came out with. And then I decided I would stop there before it became even more creepy. All right, but it's always fun to generate picture with AI. All right, so the first thing we are going to talk about in this from the lab thing is MCP. So show of hand, who has heard of MCP? Yeah, quite a few people. All right. So what is MCP? MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. And it's an open protocol that basically standardizes our application provide context to LLM. It's kind of a standard. It's not really. There's not a lot of magic in it. But the great thing about it is that it's a standard. It's a well-defined protocol, and it allows applications to really, talk together involving an LLM. So how does that work? You have a host, and this can be something like Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio or Copilot Studio, or even Windows. And then there are clients. So clients are usually the application that leverage an MCP, the MCP technology. And again, it can be Copilot Studio or GitHub Copilot in Visual Studio Code and things like that. And then you have servers where actually usually expose functionality through this protocol. You'll see a demo in a moment. That I think that if you're not familiar with it, you'll see how that works, and that's pretty cool. But so these are examples of servers you see on that slides. But there is something missing, obviously, and what's missing is Business Central. So we are working right now on making Business Central also an MCP server. And I'd like to invite Aida on stage again, and she's going to show you some of the cool prototype we have done around that. Thanks, Aida.
Thank you, Vincent. Let me switch to this. So this is going to be really from the lab. 1 second, I will switch to it. No worries. I will switch to it. I just set myself up.
Yep.
Great. Okay. So, as Vincent mentioned, this is really like a new experiment we are trying to run. So we start actually to build some APIs that serves in Business Central that serves MCP server. And we have started that experiment. And today I want to show you how you can interact with those APIs through a very simple MCP client, like a very simple desktop app. Some of you might be familiar with it. For fun of it, I chose Cloud because it supports MCP server. And I know if it hasn't come yesterday, it's coming very, very soon. So ChatGPT and M365 Copilot is going to support that. And then it's going to be really the possibilities in finance. It's really nice. So I'm going to show that. Cloud itself is running, it's a bit unstable. It's running on a beta version, but we are going to try. So all I have done here, I have gone and set up 2 MCP servers, one Business Central MCP server, and doing that is very simple. On the setting, there is a JSON config. You update it, point it to the MCP server of the client server that you want to talk to. So I have done that for Business Central. And also, I have connected to MCP server of the Google Map. When you set that up, those MCP servers are going to be available in this session. So let's take a look. You can see Google Maps is available and Business Central. And when you look at Business Central, these APIs are familiar with you. You can work with items, with customers, with codes and sales. So these are the ones that actually we have made available now.
So this is basically the idea with MCP servers. When you expose an MCP server, you expose a bunch of tools, which is just what Aida showed you, where the MCP server are basically, there's this discovery thing. They are saying, OK, this is the thing you can do with me as a server. Here are the tools that are at your disposal.
Absolutely. And then when it comes to the Google Map, you can see some of the tools that can calculate the distance, the dimension, and the direction, and understand maps. So all that tool. So what do you think I'm going to ask it? Let me something familiar. For example, I would like to make a code with 20, let's say 10, Paris guest chair, and then let's see what happens. You know all the Paris guest chair very good, right? One of the items in our demo database. So you can see, because the tool is available, all it's happening here. So it's trying to search, and now it has found the Paris guest chair. It is black, so it is calling all the nice APIs that you know, list items, now customer list. Now it needs to identify the customer.
So basically what's happening here is that based on your request in natural language, basically the client is figuring out which APIs to call and recognize these APIs because they are exposed as the
Absolutely.
MCP standard.
And you can see that it finds the customer, and based on the customer, it creates a code, and it also summarizes it. OK, very good. Then what about we want to ship this to, for example, Antwerp? So maybe I can ask what it takes, how long, maybe I say how long it takes to ship it to Keynote, I hope I pronounce it right, event center in Antwerp. So let's see. So what it's actually doing, it's trying to find the original shipping address. That would be the address of, you know, Atlanta, Georgia. It was the address of the company that the customer was on that. Very nice. So it go and search the places, find the Keynote Plus Event Center, and you can see it used the Google Map API. Then it calculates the distance, calculate the code, and then, yeah, this is the address, this is the shipping origin, and then calculate if you want to have it in different methods, how long it takes. So that was a really, really simple demo. But you can imagine what is exciting about this, it navigates between different APIs and different tools that are available from different servers and orchestrate that seamlessly. You don't need to tell it. Based on how many of these tools you have made it available from different MCP server, it can navigate. So the number of scenarios you can build with this, and imagine the day this is available. I think actually they announced it. I haven't checked yesterday, maybe it's already there. But imagine when this is in ChatGPT, you can just go ahead and enable that. And I'm assuming if I'm a salesperson, you can actually see it was announced also on the build. So Business Central sales, dynamic sales, and dynamic service, they build a prototype, this 3 servers talking together, and if you are a person on the field or a salesperson, you can just basically, when it is available in ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot, you can just start asking questions and do your calculation and do your sales. Many say that this enables the way that mobiles, before doing business from your mobile, now I can't actually live or work without my mobile phone. Before it was unimaginable, and I think this enables many people to actually start doing the business from these different desktop clients. So it is going to be future.
Yeah, we really believe that it's going to be fantastic possibilities with MCPs. As you can imagine, you have all these servers and you have this standard, and then the LLMs can coordinate everything across all these servers.
So update 26.3, which is in July, has many things in it. We have already private preview sales order agent. We will public preview sales order agent. It will be available in Germany, Denmark, and many more countries. And you can see that, all of bring your own AI resources is going to be available. And then there would be also an early access preview for MCP server. So actually, you can go and register as now, because we want to see what type of scenarios, what APIs you are going to use this for. So if you go and register, you can become part of this early access preview. But we are definitely planning to preview that also in October to be publicly available for all of you. But in July, you can go sign up, register. That's the developer scenario. So that's about it. And hopefully we have more amazing demos from you next year, this time on Business Central MCP server on this stage. Thank you.
Aida. So that was, MCP servers, again, from the lab. But we're not quite done from the lab. So I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I don't remember, but I showed page scripting back then. And that was a very early prototype. It wasn't in the product yet. And when I demoed that from the lab section, I think that was the first time I was showed publicly here at TechDays. I mean, the response has been overwhelming. I mean, you really loved it. I had people literally stopping me in the hallway in conference like this one and asking me, hey, when are you going to ship that? So we shipped it eventually. It's in preview, but don't worry, we are working on making it GA, and that will happen in the next period. But so we love page scripting. A lot of people are using it. We see there's a lot of adoption on it, which is great. So we continue to invest in it, and we have a few ideas. And again, this is all on the drawing board. This is all prototype. But I thought, that would be, great to share it with you at TechDays here. So I'm going to run a scenario here just to illustrate. It's a bit of a constructed one, but it's a good scenario because it illustrates some of the new things we've been working on with page scripting. So imagine the scenario is as follows. Imagine you have a sales quote, a sales order, and let me pick up this one, for example. And you got a mail from this customer asking, can you ship this particular order to our address in Cambridge? So how would you do that? So you have this email, and this email says, ship to our address in Cambridge. Maybe you would go and look at this customer address and see, okay, where is their address? Or it's somewhere in Coventry in the UK. So it's not Cambridge. So this is not the default shipping address, right? So the next thing you would do, you would go back to the sales order, and you would look into the alternate shipping address you have on your records. And as you can see here, they do have another address in Cambridge, but also 2 other addresses. And then you would pick Cambridge. So that's how you would do it manually, right? Now, let's assume we want to write a script in using page scripting to do that in an automated way. So how would we go about it? So let's go and open the page scripting thing and start a new recording. So the first thing which is new that I'm going to show now is that I'm going to create a parameter. You could do that before in YAML only, but now we've added, in this prototype, we've added the ability to create a parameter from the UI. So I'm going to create a parameter which I'm going to call shipping instructions. And it's going to be a string. Okay, then I'm done. I've just created that parameter. Now I'm going to start recording. So if you recall, the first thing I did is I opened the details on the customer. So I'm recording that. You see the recording is running now. And I looked at the address. So if you recall, you've always been, for a while, you've been able to right-click on a field and copy the value of that field, of one single field. But what we added recently, this is another new thing in that prototype, is I can go and right-click on the group here, on the address group, and I can go and copy the entire group. So you'll see what appears here on the right-hand side is that I've copied the entire value of all the values which are in this group. And what I want to do next is I now have this thing in my clipboard. So what I want to do, I want to figure out, what I have in my clipboard is the address, and I want to figure out whether this is the address that the customer is asking about in their shipping instruction in that mail. That's not easy to do, even if, so I don't have any ways to do in the scripting to do this comparison, and even if you had the ability to write some AL code, it wouldn't be really easy because you would have to pass the address somehow and recognize it. A great thing to be able to do is to have an LLM and ask an LLM. Because LLM are really good at that. They're really good at taking something in natural language and comparing things in a more fuzzy kind of logic. So and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to add a step here, which is called run prompt. And what it does, it allows me to actually run a small prompt here against an LLM. So that's pretty cool, eh? So I'm going to write a prompt now. So this is the customer shipping. I'm not spelling it right. That doesn't matter. LLMs are usually pretty good, even if you don't spell right. Instructions. And I'm going to insert here, if you recall, I create that parameter, which contains the shipping instruction. I'm going to insert it here. And I'm going to ask the LLM, does it match this address? And here I'm going to insert what I have on a clipboard, which you recall I copied the entire address here. So this is, these variables are going to be replaced with right value, and this is going to be sent to the LLM. And we want to do something, so we need to do something with what the answer we get. And that's the next thing I'm going to show now. I'm going to add a variable, which is also new. And I'm going to call it something like address matched. And it is going to be of a type Boolean. So now I've created that variable. Let me go back to my run prompt step here. And you see there's this section called prompt output. And what I'm doing now is I'm adding a variable where the output, the return, the thing that the LLM is going to answer to me, is going to be put in that variable. So basically, what's going on here is that the page scripting is going to run that prompt against an LLM, asking, here's the instruction for the shipping address. Does this match this instruction? And the LLM is going to return true or false, and it's going to be put in that variable. So now I want to do something of that variable. As you recall, if this address does not match the instructions, I will have to do something else. So let's check that. So let's add a conditional step. And so if this variable, sorry, I'm in the wrong. Is this variable here what I have, hang on, here we go. So this variable address match is not true. Then what? Then I need to look at the alternative shipping address. So I'm going to do that here. And another new thing here now is that, so what I want to do is I want to look at each of these alternative shipping address and check whether it matches what the customer requires. So another new thing here is that I can do a for each on this row. Meaning in my script, I can iterate and do some operations on each of the row. So I'm going to do that now. So for each row, I'm going to open the record here, and again, copy the entire group here in the clipboard. And again, just like before, I'm going to run a small prompt here saying, pretty much the same as before, customer shipping instructions. I'm adding the same variable as before. The instructions didn't change, same instructions. Does it match this address? And then this time I will put in what I have on the clipboard, which is this value here. And I can reuse the same variable for the return value for the output. And one more step here, which is a conditional step again. So if the variable here now is true, if the address actually match, I'm just simply going to select that row and fill it out in the page. So that's pretty much it. So let's end the scope for these statements here and stop the recording. So this is my script. So let's check it out. Let's see if it actually works. So I'll switch back to the default address, and let me run the script now. So this is where I input the value of. You remember I created that variable called that parameter called shipping instructions. So this is where I input basically the value of it, and I'm going to write, please ship to our office in Cambridge, and run the script. So you see the script opens the page, look at the default address, doesn't match, run the prompt. Okay, I got an error here. Hang on. Oh, I did something. Yeah, so yeah, I had an error in the script here. Okay, but let me see. I have the script somewhere. I made a mistake. I made a mistake in the script. Let me see if I can. I have it saved somewhere. I did a mistake during the recording, but you get the idea basically, right? So what I showed here, basically is the ability to add some loops, also the ability to run a prompt and have variables. So let me try again here with the script, which hopefully doesn't have any error. All right. So it's opening here, looking at the default address, and figure out that it needs to be shipped to Cambridge, right? So just to show you that it works, I'm going to run it again with another shipping instruction, ask it to ship it to the office in Manchester. So here we go. Again, it opens, check the default address. And then you'll see here it's iterating through each of the row until the address in Manchester matches. So it's running the prompt right now. And finally, it figures out that the address is in Manchester. All right, there you have it. So a few additions to this page scripting. Thank you. So the ability to run loops and last but not least, the ability to run small prompts as scripts. All right, so we are approaching the end of our keynote. And yeah, by the way, if you want to see more about page scripting, there's a session about it with Thomas and Vasil. They'll show you much more about how you can leverage page scripting for automated testing and acceptance testing. So it's a tradition. I show you also this roadmap and what we have in store for the next wave and the investments areas for BC. Again, we have a lot of things in store around AI, as you can see on that slide. A lot of things around generating AI. We are going to GA, as Aida mentioned, the sales order agent, GA the payable agent, much more things. We have some improvement to autofill, improvement to summary, and tons of other features. But we're still working on keeping Business Central a world-class service. We are doing a lot of investments in performance, scalability, reliability, efficiency of development. There's a session about what's new in AL. We're doing still tons of investment in the language and development tools. So this gives you an overview of what we have in store for the next release. I would also like to point out that we still receive a lot of contribution to our apps through our open source model, and really grateful for that. So thank you. I'm pretty sure many of you who have contributed to our app. You are here in this room, so thank you very much. We received 159 contribution in the last year, and so please keep them coming. We really need them, and it's really great way to improve and add to our code base. So yeah, and if you haven't done it yet and consider doing, you should definitely do it. It's a great way to make this product even better and be part of this great community. And finally, a couple of resources. So we have this great YouTube channel. If you haven't discovered it yet, check it out. There's tons of good videos out there. We have What's New videos, we demo products. We have things on Copilot and AI, all sorts of technical deep dives. I have a podcast there, which where I invite different people from our team, and we talk. It's very informal. We just podcast style. We just have a conversation about how we build things in our product. There's no demo. It's no feature demo. It's more about the architecture and how we go about developing different features. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. I enjoy doing that. It's always a lot of fun. We have another playlist which is pretty cool as well that Jesper is driving. It's called What's Cooking, where these are pretty short videos where we show some of the things that we are just about to release, or we are working on just right now. And they are very short, small nuggets that gives you an insight of lift the curtain of what's coming in BC. With that, I'd like once more to thank you very much to be such a great community and helping us making that product such a great product. Enjoy the rest of the conference.